Howdy there, friends and neighbors. I am Just Rob, and today I'm going to be talking about the recently released Volume 6 of Goodnight PunPun. Goodnight PunPun Volume 6 came out on the 20th of this week, and yet again, I was broken. Goodnight PunPun easily became one of my very favorite manga of all time after only reading a single volume, and from there on, it just continued getting better and better and better. I actually have a video where I talked about volumes 1 through 5, and I'm going to be doing singular videos for volume 6 and volume 7, and I'm pretty sure eventually I'm going to talk about volumes 1 through 5 singularly. Volume 6 had a lot of shit going down within the first 30 pages. Now before I go any further, there are going to be some minor spoilers. I'm not going to talk about any of the side stories. I'm basically going to be talking about the story that goes along with PunPun and Aiko. So if you haven't read the series yet, if you haven't read this volume yet, there's going to be a little time down below here to where you can skip to a part of the video where I'm not going to be spoiling shit for you. So, spoilers now. The book opens up with PunPun and Aiko at her mother's house, at her old house. They're going to tell Aiko's mother that she is leaving and they're going to be living together. Her mother, bizarrely, is wearing Aiko's schoolgirl uniform, her school's uniform. She has her undies hanging off of one leg, and PunPun sees some shit, and I don't want to get into detail on that part. But they all basically sit down, and Aiko's mother basically just clonks her on the head, just like, you're stupid, you've always been stupid, you can't do anything by yourself or alone, this is a mistake, go ahead, abandon your crippled mother. She's like, I'm going to live with him. I want to be with him. And Aiko's mother pulls out a knife and stabs her right in the abdomen. Right here, right in the side. PunPun loses it. You see the insanity growing in his eyes. And then he strangles her. He strangles her, and then he gets stabbed in the leg with a pair of scissors. He stabs her back. And then there's a knocking at the door. PunPun gets up, tells Aiko it's all going to be okay. He answers the door, gets this package. He walks back in and sees Aiko stabbing her mother's body. Jesus. And he's like, you can stop now. She's dead. She's covered in blood. PunPun's covered, well, he gets covered in blood because of Aiko. And that's how this story starts off, with PunPun killing Aiko's mother. So the rest of the book follows PunPun and Aiko just running away. Like, they're running away from everything, all their problems, and this major problem of, hey, we killed somebody. And Aiko's having a harder time dealing with it than PunPun is. PunPun currently isn't himself. As you can see on the cover, that silhouette. Yeah, this is how he is in most of the volume. Like, he's got that long, slender black head with the eyes and everything, and shit just gets weirder and weirder. They're sitting at a restaurant, and Aiko is noticing that PunPun's looking at other girls, and she was like, you know, let me gouge your eye out. I think one eye would be fine. I only want you to have eyes for me. And she stabs him in the eye. And PunPun sits there. And then he begins to criticize her, and he was like, use the spoon like you're scraping it out of my skull. And she's like, but PunPun, I love you. And then he just does it. The story continues, and you can just feel the uneasiness the entire time between the two. I mean, it's clear that Aiko loves PunPun to an extent, or loves PunPun to an extent. And you thought that PunPun would be a little bit happier now that he's finally with Aiko and they're living out their childhood promise, but PunPun just gets more and more unsettling. To skip through a little bit, towards the end of the book, they find this little island, this beach, and Aiko's like, I just want to stay here. And then for the first time, or the second time in the entire book, PunPun begins to look as how he did. He's like, you know, I'm really happy that I found you. And they just have a good time at the beach, and then, you know, they're laying in the sand as the water comes up, and they just start talking. And PunPun looks behind him, gets up, and he finds a rope. He ties this rope into a noose. Aiko comes up from behind him and says, are you going to kill me now? PunPun turns around, and he's his normal bird-like self, and then it cuts to Aiko, and then when it cuts back to PunPun, he's got that black face again, and he's like, yeah, but don't worry, I'll be right behind you. He ties the noose around Aiko's neck, and she just starts crying and she's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. She's like, PunPun, let's have sex. Let's just have sex right now. And he's like, don't worry, you won't be alone. And then she drops a bomb on him. PunPun, you're not a murderer. And he's like, I am. I'm the murderer and you're the bystander. She was like, when you went to go get the package, after you choked my mother, she got up and started walking around. And PunPun calls her a liar. And she says, I stabbed her. I killed her. And PunPun gets more and more angry. He's like, you're lying to me. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. Aiko then apologizes to PunPun. And then it cuts to her at night with her hand up to the sky looking at the stars. She falls back, and I personally thought she was like falling off a cliff or something, but she falls down and she's lying next to PunPun. She was like, I never want to leave this island ever. She was like, I won't tell the police. You can leave if you really want to. Then PunPun's like, Aiko, let's get married. And she's like, you're not right in the head, are you, PunPun? And the volume's final pages has Aiko sitting in this building, and this woman says, I'm sorry, there's no jobs available, but she's like, I have a friend that works on a farm that's got some open spaces. Both you and your friend would be able to work. And she gets really, really happy, and she runs out to go and tell PunPun. Meanwhile, PunPun is signing a lease for an apartment, but they wouldn't take any of his identification. But he has Aiko's driver's license, and the guy's like, yeah, we could take driver's license, but it would be in your friend's name. As PunPun is signing out all of the paperwork, the news hits that they found the body of Aiko's mother. They announce her name. Aiko comes running into this lobby, and as PunPun is writing her name, the news report says, Aiko Tanaka is presumed missing, her mother is dead, and it literally ends on the shot of PunPun writing Aiko. And this is technically the last thing you see. Now, I just talked about the PunPun and Aiko story. There's two other stories going on here. The one with Pegasus and the story with Seki that are kind of starting to interconnect now. Those stories are left on a cliffhanger that really fucking blow my mind. I'm really curious to see what's going on in those side stories. But with PunPun and Aiko, aside from knowing that the next volume to be released in America is going to be the last volume, even if I didn't know that, I would say, okay, yeah, the ending is soon, even if the book didn't say the end is coming. What a fucking volume. I cried a little bit when I read this. I got very, very, very uneasy. The psychological trip mine that is this fucking series just kept going off in the back of my head because there is some fucking fucked up shit going on in this series, but I don't feel fucked up in knowing that I enjoy it. Because there's a side of this story, as fucked up as it is, that just feels like, not right in such a sense, but like, I don't know how to really describe it. It's extremely relatable, but at the same time, it's not extremely relatable. But in the most twisted kind of way, when it's not relatable, it almost kind of is. Like, don't get me wrong, I would never go around killing my girlfriend's mother or anything like that. Not that I feel for PunPun doing what he does in that particular scene. I would never tie a noose around somebody's neck ever. Oh god, no. I know where he's coming from. I know where that anger came from. Like, I've been in that situation before. Obviously, I didn't kill anybody. Just, yeah. So, it's weird how that this story really plays on the darker side of reality and just how much you can actually connect with that darker side of reality through this manga. That's the scary part. It's because, you know, PunPun is doing what you and I are too afraid to do. And we don't know if it's because he's going insane. We don't know if it's because he's been through so much in his life. And a lot is revealed about PunPun's younger, like, self in this volume. I don't want to get too into detail with that because that's actually a really important part of the story, but PunPun's origins, I guess you could say, or why he became such a quiet person and everything, is revealed in this book, and it's actually fucking heartbreaking. It's terrible what happened to him and why he chose to become so inside himself. I mean, you know, aside from the mother and father getting divorced and everything else that happened within his family, just fuck, man. But I still can't help loving this series. Characters, the art, oh my god. Like, almost every other page in this volume was me saying to myself, I want that as my desktop for my computer. Inyo Asano, or Asano Inyo, I'm not sure how it's truly pronounced, and it bugs me that I might be getting it wrong, has written one of the greatest series ever, and I'm saying that right now, not knowing what the final volume is going to hold. I have to wait until fucking September 19th. I am losing it just thinking about how this is going to end. I originally thought that this was going to end a completely different way, but seeing as what happens in Volume 6, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm both excited and terrified to see what happens in Volume 7. What's going to happen with Aiko? What's going to happen with PunPun? What's going to happen with Seki? What's going to happen with Pegasus, the Good Vibrations cult? What is going on? Are they all going to die? That better not be it. I swear to God, if I'm right. This is the one of the times where I just do not want to be right, because I have a feeling everybody's going to die, and I don't want everybody to die. However this ends, I know it's going to blow my mind, and I know it's probably going to make me cry a bit, and I know that it's just only going to strengthen my love for this series even more. And in all honesty, it's going to feel fucking awful knowing that there's no new PunPun coming out every 2 months. But luckily enough, the US seems to be getting more of Asano's stories. What a Wonderful Life Volume 2 is finally being released into stores very soon. I still have more stories that I can read from him. I can get them on Amazon, and fuck. Oyasami PunPun, Goodnight PunPun, Volume 6, or I guess you could say Volume 11 and 12 in Japan. Mind blown. Absolutely beautiful. Again, only strengthened my love for this series, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how this series concludes. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this sort of review of Oyasami PunPun or Goodnight PunPun Volume 6/11 and 12. I will be doing a video on Volume 7 when it does officially release, and I'm feeling maybe sometime in August I'll do a review maybe once a week of Volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because I kind of just collectively talked about them when Volume 5 came out. But I'm not too sure yet. I think that would be a good way to really hype myself up for Volume 7. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have read Oyasami PunPun, Goodnight PunPun, please let me know in the comment sections below. Let me know how you feel about the series, because I know there's people out there that have actually read this series already. Let me know how you feel about that. Let me know how you feel about what happened in Volumes 11 and 12, I guess this book is, and let's have a conversation about Goodnight PunPun. Until next time, everybody, I have been Just Rob of Crazy Calyx, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.